And there it is. Material issues. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 6 o'clock on Wednesday evening, Eastern Standard Time, 3 o'clock Pacific Coast Time, PST, Pacific Standard Time. I'm Mark Hershberger, and welcome to Material Issues, episode number 2, the show where we talk about everything and anything. It could be pop culture, collecting, memorabilia, news of the day, you name it. It's fair game. And right now, I'd like to introduce you to my very good friend from International Pop Overthrow Festival, Mr. David Bash.
Good afternoon / evening / night, everyone. Here I am in sunny Southern California, about 80 degrees today. Absolutely beautiful. Top-down summer.
Good. It's 90 degrees here today. It's like... we got you beat today, yeah.
It's like an oven, yeah, I'm sure.
It's very, very hot. Not humid, though. It's a dry heat.
Oh, good. Okay. All right, good.
Until the summer comes, then it's very humid. But, yeah, I'm hoping people start tuning in here, and make sure you leave us some comments and whatnot. We know we had a lot of comments based on episode number 1. People seem to really enjoy it. So if you're here and checking in, make sure you say hello. Somebody just said hello, Mark and David. If you don't subscribe, I guess, to the Facebook group, we can't see who you actually are. It just says Facebook.
Yeah, why don't you identify yourselves in your comments? That way we'll know.
Yeah, if you want to say hi,
after the fact, when it's archived, then we can see who it is. But at present, no.
But whoever said hi, we say hi back. Yeah,
I'm ready to go. I got to do a watch check. It's upside down, granted, but it's my Seiko retro 70s looking watch with the Coca-Cola dial. I think it goes well with this shirt, so I had to put that one on. What else do I got here? I got my teal cross pen. There it is.
Oh, nice.
I love teal, and I love cross pens, so perfect. And I've got my Mountain Dew Zero Sugar.
Excellent. That even looks very retro.
Exactly, because I'm trying to stay healthy, which, of course, diet soda is anything but healthy, but it's better than the alternative.
Oh, it's my friend George Evans. Hello, hey, George. Thanks for tuning in. You said you missed episode number 1. You can always check out the archive on YouTube and here at the Facebook group. But join the Facebook group or subscribe to the YouTube channel and tell all your friends, share it, because this is Material Issues. And if you're unfamiliar, this is David Bash of International Pop Overthrow Festival, Worldwide Festival. And
even if you are familiar, that's who I am.
Even if you are.
I always love that sort of chasm in the language that people use that. Well, I'm David Bash for those of you who don't know. And who am I for those who do? I mean, obviously, come on now.
Somebody else.
I want to talk about a book that I got here, and I'm sure a lot of people watching have seen this movie, and I may be a cinematic idiot, as Jack Black said in High Fidelity, but this is one of my favorite movies of all time, if not my favorite. Dazed and Confused, and there's a new book called All Right, about the making of the movie in every facet. From Richard Linklater trying to get it green-lighted, Linklater being the director, to all the people who were in the movie or who had anything to do with working on the movie. There are interviews galore in here. It's one of the reasons I really love that movie is because, well, it was my era. I graduated high school in 1976, so I was a class ahead of the seniors in that movie, and one of the charms of that movie is you watch it and you say, I know that person, or I knew that person. I knew a guy exactly like Randy Pink Floyd. His name was Jimmy O'Neill. He was the quarterback on our high school team. Beautiful girlfriend. But he would come to the nerd table and sit with us sometimes. He was never too popular to hang out with the nerds. He was just a great guy. And I certainly knew I certainly knew the pot dealer like Slater. I certainly knew the girls who were walking around in their tight bell bottoms. I
Yep.
knew the bitch. I knew the nice girl, and it's like everybody in that movie
is
is
part
somebody
of
that you
your
knew.
history. Yeah.
And of course, the things that they're doing, the things that they're thinking, that's all part of my history as well. And I thought Linklater nailed it.
Right.
Absolutely. He
I wonder
was
how
also from that
old
time.
he. I was going to say, I wonder how old he is if he's from that specific era as well.
He's from that era, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he was 31 when he started making the movie, which would have him born in 61. So he's from that era also. Anyway,
Yeah. Have you seen? But
story?
Speaking of that, but go ahead.
Well, I was going to say one great story, and you don't need the book to hear this, but Matthew McConaughey does recount it. This is the first movie he was ever in, and at that time, acting was kind of a hobby for him. He wasn't sure what he was going to do. He knew he enjoyed it, but so Linklater, who knew him, invited him to be in this movie and gave him the part of Wooderson. And before Wooderson, the first scene that they do is the scene at the burger place. I don't know why I'm forgetting its name right now. Where Wooderson drives up and he sees the people, the three nerds in the car, including the redhead Cynthia, who he falls for. And the first words that he says in the movie are "all right, all right, all right." So he tells the story of how that happened. I guess the day before that, he had watched a Doors show, something on video. Anyway, Jim Morrison said, "All right, all right, all right, all right." So before McConaughey comes out, he's thinking about. He goes, "All right, who is Wooderson?" He's kind of trying to do a method acting thing, I guess.
Right.
He says, "Well, Wooderson loves his muscle car. All right. Wooderson loves weed. All right. Wooderson loves the ladies. All right." And before he can come up with a fourth, he gets his cue. So that was why he said, "All right, all right, all right." He got the 3 out of the 4. And
That's
now,
a great
of course,
story.
it's become one of the most iconic lines in any movie for the past 30 years. And we know, of course, what happened to McConaughey. His career launched from here, and the rest is history. But this is a really fun book. If you want to know about the movie, again, it has interviews with just about anybody involved with the movie. I mean, even PAs, as well as McConaughey, Ben Affleck, anybody, almost everybody who was in the movie was interviewed for it, and all the background on how you also learn how movies are made and the pratfalls that people go through and the obstacles. It really kind of sucks. It's very soul sucking what he went through.
Sure. Yeah, no, but I mean, now you make me want to go watch the movie again tonight because I haven't seen it probably in a year or two. But,
man, absolutely. If you're watching this, definitely find Dazed and Confused. I'm sure it's on cable or on one of the streaming services.
Did it destroy any myths for you, or how you felt about some of the scenes or anything?
I was worried about that, and I was concerned that if I watch the movie again, I'm going to be thinking more about the details behind it than the actual movie. But no, not really. I mean, I knew some of the stuff already from seeing interviews, live interviews and stuff. So, no, not really. It just gave me more insight into the whole process and the things that the kids were going. I mean, when these people were kids, they were talking about it just being a paradise, being in hotels unsupervised.
Right,
a lot of them were really young. He didn't just take older actors and have them play teenagers, like the guy who played Benny, Cole Hauser. He really was 17. Yeah. He really was, and for him it was like summer camp.
Well,
the drugs, the sex, the whole bit.
I've got a book very similar to that on Caddyshack and the making of Caddyshack, and that was, as they described it, every cast member. Just one big, huge party, living in Fleabag Hotel and just having a blast, But speaking of ruining,
thank you.
Top-notch burgers. There we go.
I'm ashamed. I have to hang my head now. I'm going to be kicked out of the Dazed and Confused Society. Didn't
But speaking
remember
of
Top
breaking
Notch.
myths, I'm a huge Wizard of Oz fan, always have been. And when I read the Making of Wizard of Oz book, where you learn, all the backgrounds that were painted, and when he goes up to the castle to try to meet the wizard first, and the guard comes out, only a little part of that set is actual set. Everything else is painted on backdrop. And then you start watching the movie with all this new stuff going, wait a minute, oh, there it is, the paint lines. That's not fair. And it kind of wrecks all the it wrecks it all for you.
It's true, though. You have to be careful when learning about anything, including actors and actresses who you may have had a crush on. You find out that they were actually dicks in real life, and that sometimes doesn't help.
It doesn't. But
which is one of the reasons why, honestly, although I've met lots and lots of musicians through IPO, and they're all really cool. But as far as like my heroes, the ones I loved growing up, if I have a chance to meet them, I usually take it, but I don't go out of my way to do it because who knows? They could end up being dicks, and I can't enjoy their music anymore. I try to separate the art from the artist, and it's easy to do when you read stuff about people, but if you actually meet them and they're assholes, that can ruin it. Hasn't happened yet, thankfully, but I also haven't met a lot of them yet, so I don't know. But anyway,
I gotta ask you a question. I mean, you're talking about a book that you got recently, and some things that I wondered about you personally. You get in
it's a not as big as I say. Sorry.
Exactly.
I'm talking about I'm talking about my head. I always.
Oh, I thought you were talking about your collection.
No, that's even bigger. Anyway, go ahead.
But speaking of all that, you got books that you read. You get a lot of CDs, a lot of vinyl. You get a lot of stuff coming in or purchasing or whatever you do. What is your process? How do you make the time to really get into a lot of this stuff that you love and listen to and review and comment about? I look at my meager collection compared to what you got, and I'm like, Christ, I can't get through things fast enough. But
well, no social life is a big help.
Yes. Okay.
And I'm used to that because that was true for my whole life. No, I love the way you use the word process, because now it makes me sound like I'm one of the people involved in making a movie.
Right.
Because
right.
Because I'm Richard Linklater and the app. Well, this was my process. It's like I don't really have a process. I just kind of do stuff.
I'm trying to blow up the myth of David Bash right now.
Yeah. I have no process. No, I try to stay on top of stuff when it comes in. I listen to things usually right when I get them. If I'm going to review something, I'll listen to it more than once, of course. But I just, especially during the pandemic, I've had, a lot more time to just sit around and listen to music, read books, watch movies, that kind of stuff. Other self-imposed activities, we won't go there. I swore before I did this one that it wasn't gonna descend into sandbox humor, but I can't help it. But I'm not going there. Should we talk about the record label that I was, or do you have something you want to interject? No? Okay.
No. I'm just, we're good. Yeah, let's bring up one of these things you wanted to talk about, which I think is really interesting.
Well, one of the things that's always frustrating, and not as much as it used to be now that we have the internet and places all over the world from which you can order music, but there are certain bands and certain labels, and you know this very well, Mark, running an American label and having all kinds of Scandinavian artists on who can't get any exposure in the U.S. That's kind of the same thing that's happened with this label that I want to talk about. They're called Excelsior Records. I suppose like the battle cry and God, now I don't even remember.
Say that again. We just I think our connection just slowed down.
It's not somebody tried to call me. Don't they know that I'm in the middle of a broadcast right now?
They should be subscribed to this channel and know that you're busy.
All
right.
They really should. Don't they know that, the world revolves around David Bash and all of his activities, and they shouldn't be calling? They really, it's, I swear, that's also
annoying.
But anyway, Excelsior Records, out of the Netherlands, is a really amazing pop label, and they're actually pretty big. They've been distributed by V2 for quite a while. So although they're kind of like the DreamWorks of the Netherlands, I guess, because like Geffen distributed DreamWorks in the late '90s and had a lot of cool bands on that label. Same thing with Excelsior, but a lot of people in the U.S., including some pretty big pop fans, don't have any idea about this label or the bands who are on it. So I wanted to give them some exposure. I think they're very cool. They've always been very good to me with respect to sending me review copies, and so I appreciate that. One of the owners is named Ferry Roseboom, and we're going to try to have him on another episode of Material Issues. So I'm going to break this. I'm going to break this breakdown, shall we say, into two parts. So we'll do part one now. Anyway,
and if anybody's interested, scrolling across the bottom of the screen is their website, excelsior-recordings.com, if they want to check it out at some point.
And I hope you do. I'm going to play some song. That's right. This is live. This is live podcast.
This is as live as it gets.
If I'm going to want to clear my throat, I'm doing it. I'm not hiding that.
And you may go to the bathroom later on too. That's what we're all waiting for.
For those of you who weren't around, for episode 1, and I'm going to use that language loophole thing again. For those of you who weren't around, I have a weak bladder, and I'm 62. So people will sometimes ask me, "What do you do about your weak bladder?" And I say, "Depends." But I'm being literal. But I'm not wearing them today, so I may actually go back.
I got to stop making you laugh.
I don't really wear Depends. I don't really wear them. All right. Anyway,
nudge.
And I digress, which we will be digressing throughout the show every damn episode.
It happens.
Anyway, let's talk about the label, because this is really cool stuff. Most of the bands on this label are from the Netherlands. There are a couple of exceptions. One of them, and I believe that these guys are from Rotterdam, and I know you love this band also. They're called the Madd, M-A-D-D. And around 10 years ago, a little bit more than that, they had 2 albums come out that were just brilliant. The first one right here is called Onsuiselijk Beat. Onsuiselijk means incurable, and it really is. And one of this album is filled with all kinds of obscure cover songs, so obscure that a lot of 60s experts don't even know them. Like one of them is a song called one of them here is a song called I Saw ABBA, which has nothing to do with the band ABBA. It's a song by the Paragons, who incidentally had as one of their members Pat Walters, who eventually joined the Sponge Tones. But this is a song from the 60s, and it's very garagey, and they do a really nice version of it. This whole album is great, but the crown jewel.
Who just covered that in the last couple of years? Like Reno Bo or?
Did Reno Bo do it? Oh,
I think he covered it like 2 or 3 years ago on his CD. Wow, but great song. All right. I saw ABBA. Yeah. Late last night. I can't stop singing.
Their second album, called The Matter Pretty Quick, is even better. It's a combination of obscure covers and power pop songs that they wrote that just sit side by side with these covers. And when I say obscure, what do they have? The Days Mind the Time, which is by a Texas band called the Mods. They've got Don't Ask Me Love, a Shaker song. For whatever reason, they have it spelled AKS. War, Hands of Time, which is a song by the Australian band, The Master's Apprentices. Or were they from New Zealand? I forget. Sorry, I don't mean to offend anyone from down under. I know those 2 countries are different.
They're different.
and I know they hate each other. No, but anyway, some really. Oh, You Can Be My Baby. They do
Yeah.
also by the Red
You
Squares,
can be
right?
my baby.
Uh,
Yep.
a band from Denmark, I believe. But they also have some really, and they do them well. But they also have some really cool songs that they wrote. And the first one, the one I want to play, is the first song from the album, which is called "I Know." See what you think of this. Oops, I messed up. Let's
It was great for
play.
12 seconds.
That's what she said. Ha ha! I could not resist
Once again,
that.
I had nothing to do with that joke.
No, you didn't. Yeah, I don't even know what to say. That was just too easy. I had to. All right, here we go.
All right.
Here we go again.
The volume was good.
Okay. Why aren't you playing?
Don't.
Boy, my computer's acting up. I think it's okay.
So you'll see you're feeling fine, and you don't need a love like mine.
Wow.
I love it.
I think it's
Don't get mad.
what I think is happening is it's an old
Folks, this is
computer.
live.
It's actually
This is live.
perfect. Boy, I'm really glad that.
This is part of David's process.
Yeah, I know. But my process is I need a new computer.
Damn it.
Anyway, the good thing is that all of this stuff is on Spotify, so you can check it out. I'm so
Right.
glad Ferry wasn't on this episode.
Yeah.
All right.
That would have been
Really,
slightly embarrassing, but that was great. That's a
Now
cool
it's
song.
happening.
There we go.
Okay, I'm trying to. I don't normally play Spotify stuff, mainly because I don't normally do podcasts. So,
no, this isn't your normal everyday thing. No, it's great.
No,
Well, let's
not at
talk.
all.
But real briefly, though, like you said, okay,
All
go
right.
ahead. Go to. I was just going to mention.
Let's
Go
do
ahead.
another one. The drummer of the Mad, who goes by the name Marty Graveyard, put out a great record a couple of years later called Summer Holiday. A little bit less 60s and a little bit more power pop.
Yep.
Great stuff. Here's a song called "Do You Really Want to Dance?"
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Kind of reminds me of very early Merrymakers.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you get
Which
the
was,
idea.
I mean, when that came out, I was quite surprised when you hear it's the drummer from the Mad. You know, you might have thought somebody else, one of the other instrumentalists, but evidently Marty's quite talented across a number of instruments as well. So yeah, that was a very good CD. But let's also talk about the Mad. After those two albums, the Mad went south, right?
Well, they broke up, but
yeah, and formed what?
They reformed. Dave Von Raven, the main guy,
Right.
along with Arjen Spies from the also awesome Dutch band Mark and the Spies, put together a band called The Kick. And they've released several albums now. The only difference is that stuff is in Dutch.
Right.
It's which is fine. I mean, I'm not a big lyrics guy anyway. I'm much more of a music guy. And their first album, I happen to have it right here, It's called Spring Leavened, and it's like I said, it's in Dutch, but it's very 60s inspired. Here's a track.
Right.
That's really beautiful, I think.
No,
And
it's beautiful stuff, and I agree with you. I mean, the music's fantastic. However, I do like lyrics, and I'm a lyric guy, and it does confuse me a little bit that everything that Kick essentially has put out has been recorded in Dutch.
almost everything, I should say. They have a song
Almost.
called "My Eyes Are Still Dry," which is on an IPO CD, and that's in English, and it's also awesome.
You understand what I'm talking about, though, is like their hopes are they can only be big in the Netherlands, essentially, you know.
Well, yeah, and
you're not going to translate that to the European market and the USA market.
That dovetails with what I was talking about, the fact that they were on this big label in Holland, Excelsior, and because of distribution limitations, they couldn't break big in a lot of other English-speaking countries, particularly the U.S. So they probably just threw up their hands and said, all right, look, we're never going to be big anywhere except the Netherlands. So let's just sing in Dutch and be done with it. And that's what they've done. I mean, I don't want to speak for them. I think that's why they did it, but it's a shame.
And I'm curious. Well, and I'm curious because a lot of the bands that I know from Norway, Sweden, Denmark, they're going to sing in English. But the majority of the country all speaks very fluent English. So when they have their own concerts over there, they're all singing in English. So I'm wondering whether the Netherlands is a little different as far as does everybody love to hear everything in English, or are they absolutely fine with the Kick being just, speaking Dutch? Dutch. It's a weird kind of. It's strange
let
to
me. Let me give you my observation. Most of the acts on Excelsior sing in English. Very few sing in any language other than that. So I think the Netherlands is a lot like Sweden, where most of the acts sing in English, and a few like Kent or Bob Hund or a few others sing in Swedish. So right. I think they're fine either way. It's really a band preference. What I always found odd, and I remember speaking to David Muir of the Merrymakers about this, is that these bands would sing in English, and then in between songs, the banter would be in Swedish. I said, why wouldn't you just want the banter to be English if you're singing in English? And he said, oh, that would be pretentious. We don't do that. Like, all right. All right. Yeah, I get
it. That's pretty good. But great.
Great. When I started seeing the bands live, like at IPO Stockholm, I just kind of got used to it. Like, okay, they're going to, I'm not going to know what they're going to be speaking in gibberish to my ears, and the crowd's going to be laughing. Okay.
But it's also kind of funny. I'm a big fan of Norway's Popium, which was Pogo Pops, which is Frank Hammersland. I think he's an absolute genius songwriter. But it's funny, I've seen some live, or I've seen it recorded, but it was like live interviews of the three members of Pogo Pops, because they're back playing occasionally over there, and they'll do an interview in Norway, and the interview is going out and they're answering all the questions in English. It's a fairly heavy accent, but the primary audience is their fans in Norway. But the interview is being conducted in English, Well,
again, I guess they want people from all over the world to understand it. And and as you mentioned, people in Scandinavia speak really, young people especially speak really good English. So they learn it throughout their school years.
Wouldn't it be amazing
better than we do?
If we were taught Norwegian starting in first grade, Doesn't happen here in the U.S., you know?
No, we're Americans, damn it. We don't care about them foreigners.
Speak American when you're on this website.
That's right. Let me do a few more, if that's okay. A few more Excelsior releases. I was gonna present several, but I think I want to do a part 2, and when we can get Ferry on and he can talk about the label and some of the acts. But a really good guy and a really excellent musician is Yorick Van Norden, who was in a band called The Hype, who played IPO Liverpool several years ago. They were a little bit more like a modern power pop band, and they did pretty well in Holland. But then they broke up, and Yorick decided to go solo, and he's released a couple of albums. My favorite of which being Happy Hunting Ground, his first one. Although The Jester, which is his second, is also great. Here's a cool song from it. Oops. Stop it.
I like it.
Oh, he's great. Some of the stuff is a little poppier. Oh, that's very poppy, but it's also rock. You know, it's kind of like a Stone song, but very pop. He's another really talented young guy, and so he's on Excelsior. I'll do one more, and then we'll save the rest for next time. Let me see here. What should I do? Well, if Mike Simmons is watching, I know this is one of his favorite bands ever. They're called Daryl Ann, and they were around in the late 90s, and well, a little bit longer than that, but this was their heyday. And this album's called Happy Trom, and it's really cool. It's more indie pop for sure than the stuff I've been playing. And I don't know how he pronounces his name. An Solstad. If Mike's listening, he's probably retching because I'm not even close. But anyway, this is good stuff. I want to pull up a track from this album, and here we go. Oops.
Yeah.
I think what's happening with my old computer is that it's actually clipping because it's too loud.
If you stop pedaling, then it doesn't get the electricity it needs.
God, I had no idea.
I'm just telling you, when you stop pedaling,
I can't stop pedaling because there's vials of cocaine on the other end, and if I pedal for 60 minutes, I get them. I'm like one of Skinner's mice. I mean,
didn't I tell you though? Yeah, last week you didn't lose any weight. You stopped pedaling, and the internet connection went down.
I know, it's terrible. Anyway, I hope people get a good taste of this. They are a great label. Mark has the website scrolling on the bottom.
Yep.
So definitely check them out.
And
again, this stuff is all on Spotify, so you can listen to it before you buy. And I do urge everybody, if you like something you hear on any streaming service, please support the artist by buying it. The streaming services are not there so you don't have to spend money. The streaming services are there so that you can learn about great music and then you can own it in your collection.
Right.
I mean, even if you download it and pay for that, that supports
Right.
the artist. I mean, I'm all for
Absolutely.
physical product, but whatever does help the artist, it's a good thing. So
Well, and
check out Excelsior. There'll be more.
if you really like the artist, you really like the music, the reason to buy it and support it is because that artist will be able to make more music, and you'll
Right.
probably like the next thing that comes from it. So that's the big reason to buy. But yeah, Excelsior Recordings. We're going to have more from that label in the future. Hopefully, we'll talk about that in the upcoming live shows. But going back to some Scandinavian type thing, I just want to briefly mention because it came to my head. Everybody knows I'm a big fan of Vibeke Sagestad. She's got a couple albums on Pop Detective. She was on a Grammy award-winning album in Norway, band called Weld. But she was also in a wonderful, very ambient ethereal band called Tinkerbell. And Tinkerbell was her first band. They're actually releasing that first album or Tinkerbell album on vinyl. It's got a one of those what are they called? Kickstarter type campaigns in Norway. Unfortunately, it's tough for us here to support it because the entire site's in Norway. You can't even translate it into English. But Vibeke told me if you're a fan, stay tuned. If you find her on the internet, we may even talk about it. She'll figure out a way to get copies of the vinyl over here to the U.S. because she now lives in the U.S., not too far north from.
Yeah, she lives in Beacon, New York, doesn't she?
Yep, Beacon. Yep, beautiful,
not far
beautiful
from where
Beacon,
I grew
New
up
York.
in Poughkeepsie. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So
Tinkerbell, huh?
Tinkerbell. Yeah.
That's interesting because that's what kids in school used to call me. Oh wait,
that's exactly right.
Wait a minute. No, it was something else.
Oh my gosh, David's on the phone to his therapist here in 5 minutes.
On the phone, my therapist has been listening to this whole show. Are you kidding me? Another music-related thing. There are a couple of. I was telling Mark this prior to the show. There are a couple of songs from my youth that, when I hear one, I always think about the other because they're forever etched permanently in my mind as a pair. And what I found really interesting was that when I first got the Joel Whitburn book that lists all the Billboard charts from the '60s, I looked at the ascent of these two records, and this is late in 1967, and they followed each other up the charts practically. It was really bizarre. So I'm sure a lot of people think of them together. They're not exactly alike, except that they're both great pop songs, and that would be Incense and Peppermints by the Strawberry Alarm Clock and The Rain in the Park and Other Things by the Cowsills. Two of my all-time favorite songs. I don't even think, if I rank my top 100 songs of all time, I don't know. That's one tie I don't know if I could break, honestly. But what I want to ask the people out there is, which one of those two do you like better? So if you're out there, comment. Tell us which. Is it Incense and Peppermints or is it The Rain in the Park and Other Things?
Yep.
So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. Mark, do you have any songs like that you can't think of one without the other?
One without the other. Boy, that I don't know whether I can't think of one or that the other, but you talk about these songs that are big from your youth. I always tell people that there are particular songs that I hear that take me back to a specific moment in time from, maybe junior high or high school or whatever. And anytime I hear it, I can close my eyes. I can smell. I hear the song Shannon by Henry Gross.
Oh yeah.
And I'm back in middle school and junior high at the dance, and we had like these big bleachers, and the whole place smelled musty. It's a gym floor, and all the girls are dancing, and all the guys, we hide up in the bleachers. But that song would come on, and then the girls would dance with the guys that they liked, and I was never dancing with any of the girls. I was just up in the corner of the bleachers, and I can close my eyes when I hear that song, and I can smell the gym. I can feel the rejection. I'm right back there. And there are songs like that that just blow me away when I hear them, and there are a few like that. Yeah.
I have a friend named Nick. I'm sure he's not listening, but he told me that anytime he would hear "Pretty Ballerina" by the Left Bank, he's a little bit older than I am,
Right.
so that song was part of his teenage years. He would fantasize about, and I don't mean in a sexual way, more in a romantic way, about girls that he really liked, that's really sweet. Um,
Yeah.
and that brings up another topic: songs that reminded you of a person, girl or boy, that you had a crush on. Um, and one for me is "Superstar" by the Carpenters. I
Hmm.
was in 8th grade, and I'd had a crush on this girl named Nancy for a couple of years, and for whatever reason, maybe I heard "Superstar" on the radio, WABC, of course, and I was thinking about her at the time. So the song forever became linked with her. So every time I hear it, I think about her.
Sure. Just
Sad
like that.
story though. Sad story though. One day she was in my math class in 8th grade, and one day the teacher asked me to hand out a problem sheet. So I'm going around the room handing them out, and I get to where Nancy is sitting, and I give her one of them, and I look at her like a boy that has a crush on a girl, and she just glares at me. Oh my God, that was. I still think about that. It was so demoralizing. It was like,
Sure it was.
I know you
That's-
don't feel the way I do. That's for sure.
You know, I had a
grew up
girlfriend
one like that.
well, when I was in 10th, no, when I was a little different. I mean, I have some like that. But when I was in 10th grade, I was going out with a girl who was in 9th grade. When I say going out, we had a local movie theater, or their moms, or someone would drop us off somewhere. It's not really going out; it's meeting somewhere. But she always used to say our song was this song, and it was "Sometimes When We Touch" by Dan Hill. Remember that song? Very ballady.
May I give my honest opinion?
Yes. Go ahead. I don't care. I'm not saying it's my favorite song in the world. I'm saying when I hear that song, it takes me
Yeah.
right back. And she used to shampoo her hair with that old shampoo that doesn't exist anymore called "Gee, Your Hair Smells Terrific."
Oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. And it really did smell freaking terrific. And I mean, and then when I hear everyone, you don't hear that song very often, but every once in a blue moon, you hear "Sometimes When We Touch," right? I can close my eyes and smell that shampoo.
Wow.
You know, that's how strong the music and the sound of an emotion is elicited. It takes me
It really is.
right back.
I'm
Yeah,
sure.
it's-
I'm sure people watching have songs in their history that either remind them of a crush or remind them of an event.
Please
or
comment.
remind them of
Let
something
us
they were
know.
doing. Yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
seen any comments. Are people still watching?
Nothing.
Have you all run away? Do you need?
Yeah,
do you
they've all
need
run
more
away.
Sex jokes? Is that it? Is that what you were tuning in for?
Is that what you were tuning in for?
Come on now.
And now that we stopped doing that, everybody left.
They want us. Yeah, they want us to be as mature as we can, and that's
That's
not
right,
difficult.
exactly.
If that's what you want,
And that's
we
not difficult.
we can do it for you.
But I've got. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No. It's your turn. I've said too much.
It's all good. We just roll with whatever. But we talk about Excelsior recordings. We talk about record labels. Something I was thinking about the other day are the actual labels of There's so many record labels that have come and gone over the last 100 years. Some labels are absolutely beautiful. They're stunning, and I'm always impressed. Like, here's a classic right here, Sun Records.
Oh yeah.
What a label, right? Absolutely gorgeous. Everybody knows Sun Records, and I think the classic RCA Victor.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, his master's voice.
That's an awesome label. And who was it? What is his name? Mr. Alexander.
Graham. Alexander Graham Bell.
Who bought the RCA factory, I guess. And
he bought the Victor label name, and he bought the entire catalog. Yeah,
right. And he resurrected it for his own release.
Right. Yeah. So he's trying to change the music business one label at a time. But those are a couple good ones. This one I found the other day was very interesting. It's called Gotham Records, which is obviously the New York City skyline, but it's Ballin Record Company of Philadelphia, PA.
Wow. Now that I would assume that this is an R&B label. Am I wrong?
Well, it's Rock the Joint by Jimmy Preston and the Prestonians.
Oh, then maybe it's rockabilly. When was it around?
Like that. That's got to be the 50s. Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of
yeah,
interesting.
then it probably is. That looks like a rockabilly title.
And then this label, this is the label that you sent me this morning because it was one of your all-time favorites. So I thought I'd pop it up here quickly. Static Strut the Charleston by Eugene Brockman's Dance Orchestra on home accord.
Mark, I'm on that record.
Oh, come on.
It was a little known fact, but I'm on it.
That took me a lot of work.
I'm sure it did.
Oh, wait, here we go.
I'm sure it did.
Somebody says they can't hear Lola or Indiana Wants Me without thinking of the other. They were on the radio at the same time.
This person is correct. They were.
Absolutely. Yeah.
1970 is my favorite year for top 40 radio. I think it's because I was I just started listening to it at the end of 1969 and got so into it that by 1970, I mean, whenever I came home from school, the WABC would immediately go on. And those songs are so much a part of the soundtrack of my life. Actually, 1970 through 74, for sure. Yeah. 70, 71, and 72 are very close together in terms of quality for me, but 70 will always win.
I think very true. 70 for me as well. 70 to 76 was a very big time period for me, where I always had the single earphone transistor radio cord stuck in my ear with the little transistor radio as I went to bed, and for like an hour or two laying in bed, just the one ear plug in, very mono, but that's where I'd hear all those songs, and just drift off.
As kids, we didn't know from mono or stereo. I mean, most of us just had transistor radios anyway, which were only going to broadcast in mono. And as label people say, you talk to Berry Gordy, for example. He made those Motown records to sound better in mono. And they do. I'm a stereo guy. I have no problem with mono, of course. And most things that come in both formats, I prefer stereo. But those Motown records in mono, man, they just blast right out.
Sure.
And that's what they were designed for. So yeah, for sure. Did you have to
very true.
Did you have to have the earphone in your ear because your dad would have come in and given you what for?
Exactly. It's like, turn it off, put it away. And I used to put the transistor radio under the pillow so the earplug thing ran right, so you really couldn't see it if I was laying there. And if the door was opened up, I'd look like I was sleeping because it was covering the headphone thing, right? Yeah. But you could still, even with it in, you could still hear that little bit of, they would know,
They would know even from the bedroom. They would know that you
from the bedroom. Well, because my hearing's always been bad from just loud everything. I'd have the sucker cranked. I can't listen to music at a low volume. I just can't. I've never been able to do it. I've got to hear it, so I crank things. And of course, playing in bands all those years, I've killed my hearing. So, is what it is.
Somebody says they're enjoying these. I don't know what these are. I would assume the Excelsior.
You and I are these.
Maybe. Timing wise, I guess what else could be, right? But this person is probably referring to the Excelsior tracks. Again, unless you're a subscriber to, what's the name of the streaming the service that you're using? What is it called?
StreamYard. Sandpit. Sandbox.
Sandbox, right. Unless you're a subscriber to StreamYard, your name's not going to come up when you comment. So we don't know who you are unless you tell us.
Although it pops up in the stream, it will pop up in the stream when it's archived for whatever reason.
That's true.
I don't know why it does that.
We'll find out who you are soon, but right now we
sooner or later. Right.
So
Yeah.
let's shift, pun intended, to something you wanted to talk about last week, and we ran out of time, and
Oh
that
yes.
is that is shifts in baseball. The infielders shifting their normal positions to other places on the field.
Right.
What do you want to bring up about that? Because I'm as much of a baseball fan as I am a music fan. So
Right.
let's hear it.
And I know you are. And I know we've discussed where I've gone with baseball over the years. I was a monster baseball fan in the 60s and 70s. I mean, I played high school and college basketball, but I loved baseball. So I go old school many, many ways. I'm not a big fan of the designated hitter. I'm not a fan of interleague play. I think it waters down the meeting of the two leagues in the World Series for the championship. I think it takes all that away. But of course, they do that all because of money and entertainment. But we talk about the shift, and that's basically when you have an extreme pull hitter, maybe a power hitter, whatever, they shift everybody over onto one side essentially and pack things in, making it very difficult for that hitter to get a hit. My view is I don't care. You're trying to win the game. This is my view. That's the old school view. You're trying to win the game. It's not about just entertainment and having everybody watch a 12-9 slugfest and whatever. But there are those that say, well, that's not fair if you shift. The guy has a harder time getting a hit ball. If he made it to the pros, he's talented enough. Do like Pete Rose and hit to the opposite field. You dog.
Well, this is great because I'm much more new school than you are. I've
Right.
liked the DH since it happened. I liked interleague play when I first heard about it, and I've liked it ever since. I don't feel it dilutes the World Series because the World Series is the World Series. I mean, just like playing in the same league doesn't dilute the playoffs either. When you get to the World Series, even if you've seen the team during the year, it's still way more exciting. It's a whole different ball game, literally and figuratively. But with respect to the shifts, it's not illegal, so teams certainly have the right to do it. As you mentioned, it's a strategy. If a hitter only hits the ball to one side, and you can move your fielders to that side, that's going to cut down that hitter's chances of getting a hit. Why not? Here's where it gets to be a complex issue. The game has definitely changed a lot in the last 5 years, and shifts are partially responsible for it. A lot of hitters don't want to try to hit away from the shift because they feel it messes up their swing. So what hitters have started to do, they've been saying, well, I'm not going to be able to hit through this shift, so I need to hit the ball over the fence because that's the
Right.
only way a shift isn't going to help. It's not like you're going to get all the fielders out in the stands waiting for a ball. So they want to hit it over the fence. And what has happened to the game now is almost every hitter has that one thing in mind when they get up. I want to wait for a pitch that I can hit over the fence. And for that reason, walks, strikeouts, and home runs have gone way, way up. And I think in large part that's due to the shift. It's also due to other things. It's due to the fact that pitchers are throwing a lot harder. Pitchers are also throwing some nasty pitches that they didn't throw before, like sliders that move like nobody's business, split fingers. I mean, the hitters have no idea what to do with this stuff. And so batting averages are going way down. But the shift is, like I said, partially responsible for how the game is today.
And the
I
ball's
think it's going to.
juiced. Yeah. The ball
I
is
think
juiced. The bats are lighter because they hollow out the top
exactly.
anymore, and there's all kinds of changes as far as just the actual equipment is concerned.
Yes, and I think this is what if we want to go back to a game like we had when we were growing up in the 70s, where guys hit the ball to all fields, where not everybody tried to hit home runs, where you
small
didn't have
ball,
guys small ball, stolen bases,
stolen
sacrifice bunt,
bases. Yeah,
where you didn't have a bunch of guys hitting 170. If you were a bad hitter, you were hitting 210. Now you've got guys hitting
Mendoza line.
170 all over the place. If you want to return to that game, there are certain things that I think should be done. One of them is, you were talking about the bats. They need to change the bat shape and construction back to the way it was in the 70s. None of these bats were like no weight in the handle and all the weight in the barrel, so you hit the sweet spot all the time. Have the bats be longer and thicker. There you go. You can do what you will with that. But
Here we go. The viewership
here we
just
go again.
jumped
Yeah. Hey, everybody, long, thick bat. Come on. No, seriously, they need to do that again so that there's more of an emphasis on placing the ball somewhere rather than hitting it over the fence. The ball should probably be deadened a little bit so that it's harder to hit it out. And the shift, they should probably make it illegal and have people be in. If you want the game to be the way it was, that's all I'm saying.
Right.
If you don't care,
if you think that the shift should
be the way it is, yeah.
If you want it to be more entertainment and entertaining, okay, I understand all that, but why not? Why not do what they do in college? Why not use aluminum bats? And you're going to have games that are 18 to 12 because those bats are half as light as the wooden bats. The balls jump off those things. You can spray hits all over the place with aluminum bats. Why not do what they do in college?
Well, the reason they don't do that, I think, is because they don't want the pitcher and all the fielders to lose their testicles. Because that's exactly what would happen with major league hitters hitting balls with aluminum bats. Those things are becoming a fielder so fast, they would never be able to get out of the way. And there'd be a lot of broken bones and broken other things. So I don't think we're going to see.
Well, they also do it.
Bat.
They do it in college as a budgeting reason too, because you can't break bats. You can't have custom made bat. Everybody's using everybody else's bat in college. You know, they get handed by Rawlings all the different size aluminum bats. So it just is what it is. But going back to our original thing though, I know you don't mind interleague play. That's one big thing that really bothers me. And I just go back to an example of the 71 Pirates Orioles World Series, which was my favorite World Series of all time. We talked about the Pirates. The Pirates went into that World Series facing 420 game winners on the Orioles staff. That's never going to happen again anyway. I don't think we'll ever see 420 game winners. But imagine the Pirates and imagine what they had to think about when they've never faced this team the entire year. They've never faced any one of the 420 game winners. That makes for oh my God, what's going to happen? Now, the Pirates were also known as the lumber company because they were free swinging. You know, they hit the ball hard and everywhere. So that was a matchup.
Man, what a year he had that year.
You couldn't wait to see that kind of a matchup. When you get into interleague play, it's like, well, you know what? They were 4-2 against Boston during the season or whatever. It's like, all right, well, Boston should beat them then. And for me, it takes away some of that real clash.
I get that. I mean, there are pluses and minuses to everything. For me, I like seeing. A lot of these teams are never going to see each other in the World Series, so I want to see the Yankees play the Mets, although they did finally play a World Series. I like seeing the Cubs and the White Sox, especially the rivalries, the Orioles and the Nationals. The Angels and Dodgers is a great one out here, of course. The A's and the well, I mean, there's tons of them. I like seeing those because, again, it's likely that you're not going to see these teams in the World Series. And even if you do, it'll be very, very, very few and far between. So yeah, I mean, there are pluses and minuses to everything. It's not cut and dried, and it depends upon your preference. I'm sure there are people out there who feel the way you do, and people out there feel the way I do.
Bottom line is things change. I mean, obviously things change. Yeah. Baseball has changed dramatically. You know, I played basketball in high school and college, and I can't stand the pro game or even the college game that much anymore because of the 3-point shot and the fact that these athletes the athletes, obviously they're so much bigger, better, faster, stronger that the basket now becomes just this little play toy because they're skying 3 feet over it. And, you know, they take up most of the fighting out of hockey. That was half the fun of watching a hockey game, was actually going to a boxing match and a hockey game broke out.
All the guys with no teeth. They'd be they'd be interviewing guys like Bobby Clark on the
Yeah,
on the
he had
Flyers.
he had a tooth
no
here and a
freaking
tooth.
teeth. So,
And then, of
yeah,
course, with football, you're not allowed to hit the quarterback, or you can't smack a wide receiver coming over the middle right in the head, or back in the old Oakland Raiders days. Yeah,
remember what
Jack Lambert in
Lambert
Pittsburgh.
said? You remember
What's
what he
that?
said about that? They should put dresses on them.
Yeah,
About
exactly.
the quarterbacks.
Exactly.
But the quarterbacks were the money. They were the ones who were bringing the cash to the NFL. So they have to be protected. If they keep
have to
hurt,
be protected.
that's it.
I know, but every sport has changed. So much for many different reasons. I get it. I'm just getting old, and I remember the best times of my youth, and you kind of wax nostalgic sometimes. But
I think look, everybody deserves their generation. We had it. The kids today have it. We can't necessarily relate to what these kids are going through, but it's their turn. As long as we recognize that we're old and grumpy and we don't get it, that's okay. Then we can sit around and complain about it. But really, with the caveat that we're just old and it's just not for us. The world is not for us anymore. It's for the kids, just as the world was ours when we were growing up. So it's all good.
Exactly, because when I was young, I played a lot of golf too, and I always had when I was younger, I always had a very stiff shaft on my club. Golf club. I'm just saying, on the golf club, right? Nowadays, the shafts that they play with aren't as stiff, And that's
I only have a 3-iron, so what do I know?
My friend,
I haven't had a hole in one lately either. Yeah, get it?
Or a birdie.
Right. No,
most of mine are bogeys. Oh, that's funny. Good stuff.
How are Tiger's Woods doing these days?
Oh, good stuff, man. That's excellent. But that's absolutely true. I mean, everything changes.
It does. And with that, I think we've broken the bewitching hour now. We're over.
Yeah, we've broken our hour again somehow. I don't know how that happened, but it went by like that for episode number 2. I mean, as a recap, we're going to come back and revisit Excelsior Recordings, which is scrolling along the bottom again. Make sure you check that out and check it out for a lot of great music. And hopefully, in maybe the next episode, number 3 or 4, we may have the one of the primaries of Excelsior here to talk live and have our first guest. We don't know. It may happen.
Yeah, we have a few guests in the pipeline right now.
Yep.
We really haven't tried that hard.
We haven't tried that hard,
and the spontaneity is so much fun.
Frankly, we're afraid to try to get someone number 3 on here in case the whole thing crashes.
Exactly. And I'll fix this music situation too, because I like playing stuff.
Yeah, please. Yeah, maybe you want to change the AA batteries in your computer.
All right. Well, I'll use D's from now on. D, motherfucker, D. Marcia. Count the shits again. This is all from Do the Right Thing. In case you haven't seen it, I know Mark has.
Oh, fantastic! Well, hey, David, episode number 2 in the can.
Yeah,
let's do it again next week. Everybody, thank you so much. Make sure you share the Facebook group page. Make sure you share and subscribe at YouTube. Let everybody know the party happens here every Wednesday, 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern, and we'll be back next week. I'm going to say good night.
Good night,
Mr. David.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Have a great night. See you guys.
Bye.
I'm going to do this as our sign off. There you go. Material issues.